Have you ever been praised so loudly that saying no felt rude? Stay with me, because the quiet part can leave a bruise you do not see at first. It is 3:07 a.m., and a laptop glows like a small stage in a dark apartment. A young PR strategist named Remy sits in a chair that has learned the shape of her back. A draft email waits with a title that bites, "The kindness score you were not meant to see." Her thumb floats over send, and the city outside is rain and sodium light. She knows this click will not be a door, but a one-way hallway. Now let us go back to where the hallway began. 2 months earlier, Remy walked into Everlight, a bright new wellness startup with soft chairs and soft words. The whole brand lived on a simple idea: be kind, be open, be grateful, be better. On day 1, she got the parade, welcome posts on Slack, an emoji storm, and a cupcake with her name and sugar.
We are so happy you are here. You will thrive here. You will shine here.
That was Aurora Vale, the founder with a perfect smile and a voice made for microphones. Aurora talked about kindness as if it were a technology that anyone could install. The office had plants that never drooped and mugs that said, "Listen more." Remy took notes fast, ideas racing, a plan to make the brand sing without sounding fake. On day 8, a calendar invite vanished with no trace. No message, no sorry, just gone. She asked a polite question and got a polite silence.
You are fine, it is a big week, schedules shift.
That was Noah from Product, a kind guy who avoided storms by staying under the table.
If you can hear your heartbeat at your desk, that is culture talking.
That was Dina from Ops, older, funny, and allergic to spit. Remy laughed and said she was fine, and then she checked her inbox again. The bright open office had a second sound if you listened past the coffee grinders. It was the sound of certain people being guided toward a glass wall, gentle and firm. The wall was not real, but it worked like one. People who raised hard questions found their messages read, but not answered. They found their names not tagged, their invites not sent, and their ideas praised in public but parked in private. Aurora kept saying the same line, like a prayer with good lighting.
Kindness first, then everything else takes care of itself.
Remy wanted to believe that line, and she tried to believe it every morning. Then she found something buried where old decks go to sleep. It was a tidy dashboard with warm colors, and a name that sounded gentle. It was called the Compassion Index. It scored people on alignment and gratitude and response time to praise. It had a quiet number called friction that raised a flag when someone asked hard questions too often. It was not illegal, and it was not kind. Remy stared at the numbers and felt a small wind move behind her ribs. She wrote a memo that was clear and calm. She showed how public praise tracked to private access and how silence landed on the same few names. She sent it to HR, and she copied the people who could change things. Thank you for your thoughtful note. We take this seriously. We have a retreat you will love this weekend. The retreat was silent meditation with branded blankets. Remy sat and breathed and thought about the word compassion while her calendar sat empty. After the retreat, meetings went on without her. Brainstorms that needed her ideas happened on floors she did not stand on. Aurora still smiled at her in the kitchen and called her star in front of the interns.
You have such signal, I want to amplify it soon.
Soon did not come, but the compliments did. Compliments came like confetti after a parade that had already left town. Dina watched and chewed on a carrot and made a face that said, "Please."
If praise needs you to be quiet, it is not praise, it is training.
Remy felt heat rise in her face, and then she cooled it down with reason. She met with Aurora in a glass room that kept out sound but not nerves.
I grew up in a home where no one listened to anyone. I built this place to fix that. Sometimes the way we guide people can feel sharp, but the goal is care.
Aurora looked human for a moment, tired and sincere, and that was harder to fight than a villain pose. Remy walked back to her desk with two truths in her pocket. The first truth was that intent can be soft. The second truth was that impact can still bruise. She kept working and kept notes and kept a copy of the dashboard in a folder with an innocent name. She tried again to use clean tools first. She wrote a second memo with examples and timelines. She sent a calendar invite titled Simple Discussion on Index Logic. Let us pause that for now. We appreciate your passion, and we'll circle back. Circle back became a shape with no corners. Her review got moved and her raise got quiet, and her inbox went light. She went home and looked at the folder with the dashboard and thought about time.
You are not wrong, but people hate hard truths when the lights are on.
Noah wanted to help, but he also wanted to keep his key card.
If the quiet were random, it would land on everyone, but it does not.
Dina had started a private file of messages from people who were winded by the silence. Remy added her notes to the file and felt a small lift from being seen. Then she hit a wall she did not want to see coming. She had evidence of a system, but a system is a ghost that does not hold still for a camera. She knew a story with charts does not always climb unless a chart sings. She opened a graphics tool and tried a tiny edit that would not change the headline. She drew a small spike after a town hall where a critic had been praised hard in public. The real trend was flat and ugly, and the tiny spike was pretty and wrong. She closed the file, and then opened it again, and then closed it again. She told herself that the spike only drew eyes to the truth of the other lines. She told herself that the harm of silence was big and heavy, and the small fake was light as dust. That is how people step past a line without hearing the snap. It is back to 3:07 a.m., and that draft email waits like a cliff with a soft drop. Her thumb lowers, and the message leaves like a bird that cannot come back. The post hits the right eyes before the right eyes wake up. A reporter smells a story with clean, moral edges and messy human hands. Sources say a wellness company scores staff on alignment and punishes with silence. The internet makes kindling out of those words in under an hour. Former staff write to Remy with shaky relief, and the DMs light up like a slot machine.
You kicked the door, now hold on to the frame.
Dinah sends a short text and a longer heart. Noah sends one line with a careful tone.
I hope this lands in a way that helps, and not just burns.
The board hires an outside firm and posts a calm note about values and growth.
We hear you, we are listening, we will examine our systems with care.
It is a good note, and it is also not enough. Aurora posts a 6-minute video where her voice is warm, and her words do not say sorry.
We are about kindness, and sometimes kindness is hard work. We will do better.
The leak keeps rolling, and the story keeps piling up details that make sense. A data sleuth in a hoodie stares at the dashboard image for a long 10 minutes. He writes a thread that is polite and sharp. This does not mean the claims are false, but this particular plot is likely altered. The thread goes viral in the way only careful math can go viral when a scandal needs a twist. The story shifts in a snap that you can feel in your teeth. Now the world sees two things at once. It sees a company that used silence as a leash. It sees a whistleblower who put a bow on a fact that did not need a bow.
Why did you touch the chart when the truth was enough to win a hearing?
Noah stands in the doorway of her apartment with eyes that do not accuse but do not protect.
You lit the fire and then tossed perfume on it. Now everyone smells the perfume.
Dina tells the truth with the kind of love that can sting. Remy sits on a park bench the next day and leaves her phone at home. The quiet she hears now is not the cruel kind. It is the kind that lets your bones settle. A former intern sends her a short voice note when she turns the phone back on.
Your story let me quit a place that told me to smile through a wall.
The note lands in the center of her chest like a light object that still matters. The audit team moves through Everlight like a slow tide with clipboards. We found a pattern of public praise coupled with private exclusion in decision-making. We recommend sunsetting the index and publishing clear appeal paths. The board keeps Aurora and takes away the myth that made her untouchable.
We will remove the index, publish our process, and welcome dissent in public forums.
The company prints a new poster with words about healthy disagreement. There is a space left on the wall where the old poster used to preach. Some people breathe easier right away, and some wait to see if the air stays clean. Remy does not take a victory lap. She writes a plain note on her own page that does not trend.
I fought a quiet harm and I used a noisy lie. I will not do that again.
The note gets a few kind comments and one pointed one. Clean evidence is harder and slower, but it holds. Remy starts to sleep a bit more, and when she wakes, she no longer checks her phone first. She meets Noah for tea, and they talk like people who learned the hard part of caring.
I wanted the truth to win, and I wanted you to be safe, and I did not know how to hold both.
She nods and says she did not know either.
I thought the tiny fake would only be a spotlight, and I forgot that the light is part of the story too.
Dana joins them and rolls her eyes and smiles at the same time.
Good, we all hate shortcuts now. Next time we build a ramp and push together.
They laugh because she is right, and because it is easier to laugh when the floor is steady. Now we return to that first image, that late hour, that small blue glow. It is another 3:07 a.m., and Remy is awake for a different reason. She writes a simple code for herself on a sticky note and puts it on the lamp.
Fight systems, not people, and fight with clean tools.
The light on the note is warm and ordinary. The bruise you could not see is fading, and the skin remembers. That is the big arc, but a story stays alive through small loops. Here are the loops that kept this one breathing. Remy got praised in public and frozen in private, then she found proof and felt relief. She tried to fix it from inside and hit the soft wall again. She saw a tool that hurt and called it by name. Then she was told to rest and not to ask. She chose a small lie to make a big harm easier to see. Then she paid the bill for that choice. She heard a thank you from someone who needed a door. Then she heard a warning from someone who guards doors. Relief comes when someone sees you, and harm comes when someone needs you quiet. We are all tempted by shortcuts when a truth refuses to climb. Shortcuts take our name first and our cause second. A better path is longer and harder, and still the only one worth walking. That is the moral, but let me make it plain so it sticks. Praise that requires your silence is a leash, not a gift. If you need to add a lie to carry your truth is not ready, or you are not ready to carry it. When a system harms with quiet, answer with a voice that is steady and clean. Now let us tuck this into one clear lesson you can use tomorrow. When you hear the loud compliment and feel the small flinch inside, pay attention to the flinch. Ask a fair question once, then twice, and if the answer is a wall, write down what you see. Share it with people who can hold you up and not just clap. If you must go public, go with clean facts, slow if needed, heavy if needed, unpretty if needed. If a chart does not sing, let it whisper. Truth does not need a drum. Aurora is not a monster. She is a person who turned intent into a brand and forgot to check the bruise. Remy is not a hero. She is a person who wanted a door open and tried to kick it with a shiny shoe. Both of them now know something they did not know before. People grow when a mirror is honest, and a room is safe for the answer to be ugly. That is what we chase here, and that is why this story belongs to you too. You may not work at a wellness brand, but you have stood in a room where smiling cost you a voice. You may not leak a dashboard, but you have sent a message you could not unsend. You may not draw a chart, but you have drawn a line and stepped over it and felt the snap after. So here is one more small loop to take home. Before you hit send, ask what this choice will make of you tomorrow morning. If the answer is heavy in a way you cannot carry with your name, close the laptop. If the answer is light in a way that comes from clean facts, press the key. We are almost done, but the echo that matters comes at the end. The audit gave a list. The posters changed, the index died, and Real Dissent now has a chair. The change is not a parade, it is a practice. Practice is not glamorous, and that is why it works. Remy now keeps copies of meetings she is in, and questions she asks, and answers she gets. She keeps a friend close who jokes, and a friend close who checks her math. She keeps a rule that is short enough to fit on a small note.
No bows on truth, even tiny ones.
She goes on walks without her phone, so her head can be louder than her feet. She says thank you when someone says she made a difference. She also says I am sorry when someone says she crossed a line. This is what growth looks like when the lights are off. You deserve work that lets you be heard without paying with your voice. You deserve leaders who can take a question without docking your oxygen. You deserve to keep your name clean and your cause honest, even when the story would trend faster with glitter. If you are in a room where compliments drown out your answer, remember this night and that small blue glow. Remember that the door you need may open slower than a post spreads. Remember that it is better to arrive with a truth that can stand than with a twist that can be torn away. Now let us close the circle we opened at the start. The question was simple and sharp. Have you ever been praised so loudly that saying no felt rude? The answer is in what you do the next time the room claps and your gut winces. You can nod and go quiet, or you can breathe and ask and keep your voice. Choose the voice, even if your hands shake and your calendar gets thin for a while. The bruise will fade, and your voice will not. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. If this story moved you, please tap like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts. If you want to support this channel, you can use the QR code on the bottom right or the link in the description to donate. In the description, you will also find links to other works from a very different series, and they are worth your time. I am glad you were here today, and I hope you will join the next story too. See you soon, and take care of your voice.